Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for being here today at Harmony Spiritual Center. We're so glad to have you here. We choose to be here. We choose to be here because we want to grow, we want to love, we want to serve. We want to expand our understanding of our own spirituality and how that works. And so we know for sure that God is all, is everything, substance, source, supply, and we are individualized expressions, each and every one of us, of the love and the hope that is here always, and we are here for a purpose. So I spoke last week about awakening to new beginnings, about renewal, about whatever is inevitable in our lives that is coming towards us, waking to and accepting who we are becoming. So we don't have to keep fighting it. We're always becoming. Who are we becoming in this season is a question we want to ask ourselves. And what's here for me now? We can't stay at 2 years old or 5 years old or whatever. There's always this expansion of knowledge and what we want and who we are and how we can serve. So we can always ask the question, what's here for me now? Instead of hanging on to what was. What is here? What's wanting to be expanded? What's wanting to be birthed? What am I to continue on with? And what is it time for me to let go? You know, we get so used to doing things like, oh, this is my life. But then it's not really working. So why would you keep hanging on to it? It's not working because Spirit's saying, let it go and let something, what's new for you, what's here for you now, let that in. So that's what last week was about. Today's talk and today's point is honoring the sacred in all, which, where's Jason? There you are. Which I think your song talked about beautifully. Just it's all God. And sometimes it's hard for us to see that. But we want to honor that. And we have to be purposeful about seeing God. We have to be purposeful. And so there is only one life. We know this. We can say these words, but then what's the action and the activity that we take that says we know this to be true and we are behaving in such a way that we know it is true? So there's only one divine intelligence, and it's manifesting as every living being. So everyone you look at, we talk about this all the time. I'm looking at God. When I look at you, I'm looking at God. You're looking back, and God is looking back at me. I am God looking at you back because God is all. It's who we are. It is expressing. We're not searching for the divine. We are expressions of the divine. And so every person we encounter, no matter what your thoughts may be, we are expressing and encountering the divine. So how do we live like we know that is true? That is I don't want to say challenge, or that's putting it out like it's difficult. It's not. But that is what the focus is for us, is how do we live like we know that that is true, no matter what we think we're looking at. What is true is that we are looking at the divine in everything. So I want to share with you 3 fundamental principles to live by to help you know that. The first one is called the mirror principle. The mirror principle, which simply says, when you look at another, you are looking at an individualized expression of God. I'll come back to that in a minute. I want to say all 3. The second one is the inconvenience of oneness. Okay? The inconvenience of oneness. Oneness sounds beautiful in the sanctuary, but it gets tried in traffic. Yeah? We sitting around here, we can all agree. We get in the traffic. Okay, so that's number 2. And number 3 is sacred seeing. I behold God as you. How do we do that? How do we do that? So that's what we're talking about. So the mirror principle in action. What does that look like? We practice, and this is the thing that I talk about. I've shared in many stories about the pausing before judgment. Words come to us and thoughts and irritations and all these things. But if we could just take a sacred pause before we lock these thoughts into our minds, this is going to be so very helpful as we are doing and creating that, living by that mirror principle. How do we do that? We take a sacred pause and we ask, what divine quality is seeking expression through this person right now? Okay? So I always have a story because I'm a human being. And so every one of these principles and me failing to do those principles, I can share with you, and coming around and recognizing that I wasn't acting the highest and best. But in any moment that you discover that, you can change it. It's not like you got to live with it. The moment you discover it, you can change it. So I'm going through the security, and we weren't having. I don't know. I was just in Kentucky. We weren't having whatever problems are going on right now with getting through security. We weren't having those problems. It was just clearly. When I tell you a story, we weren't having these problems. And so I had on an outfit. It comes from a company called Comfort, and it's a travel outfit. And so it's got all these little zippers, so you could put things in, and it's a great outfit. It has on the hood, it has a what do you call it, a mask to put on if you want to sleep, a sleep mask. Yes, it's warm, it's fuzzy, blah, blah, blah. So I'm walking through security, and the security lady said, "Oh my God, what is that? What's that you have on?" And I said, "Oh yeah, it's a Comfort outfit." She goes, "Oh my gosh, yes, I have one of those. In fact, I have," and then on and on and on. This woman was going on about what she had and how much she loved it, and she got one for her mom, and her friends were talking about it, and on and I could see her friend, the other person that was working in the background, was looking at her like, "Could you get to work?" And I was saying the same thing in my mind. I'm actually not here to talk to you. I'm actually trying to get through security to my plane so I can take it. I didn't say that out loud. I'm just saying that's what was in my mind. But once I heard that in my mind, I just thought, what's the hurry? This is an individualized expression. And she is expressing love right now. She really is. And once I said that to myself, once I recognized what was happening, calm down and be here now. We talk about that a lot. Be here now. But that's what it looks like. That's what be here now looks like. Letting go of what your intentions are. I'm already at the airport. I'm just about through security. I got a couple of last things to do. She's one of the last people I got to go through. There's no problem. I got plenty of time before I have to get to my plane, before my plane even takes off. So why, in my mind, was I going through, oh my God, this woman, why? And she thought enough to stop. She was so excited. And it was just a joyful, and so once I let that go and just said, hey, this is God talking to God. And I really said that to myself. Because these are the things that we talk about, all of us, when we do our meditations and things like that. They're not just stuff we read about in the books. They can be, but it's much better if they're not only what you read about, but what you actually practice. And try to practice and see how it works. They actually work really well. So just taking a breath and beholding what's really happening right now, God talking to God, me seeing God through my eyes and her eyes, and everything was beautiful. And it happens just like that. So I'm saying that to you to say this, that whenever you find yourself in that situation, and you will, there's many, many reasons why you'll find yourself in there. You're in a hurry, you're at the grocery store, somebody in front of you doesn't have a price on the ticket, on the thing she's trying to buy, and you're like, oh my God, really? You didn't check that? Whatever. And we just get to breathe and go, hey, you know what? Life is going to go on. What's going to happen to you if you are 2 minutes later going through this line? What's really going to happen? And so we just get to say that to ourselves and go, what does this look like? This mirroring principle, meaning I actually behold that I am God talking to God. Because that's all that God is expressing through us, always. And so we just want to remember that. So if it's expressing through me, it's expressing through the person I'm talking to, everybody else in the room. No matter what it looks like, they're showing up as. They are showing up as Spirit, God. So if you look at them that way, it actually changes. I don't think it changes them. It changes you. It changes how you view it. And somehow that energy actually, there's like an energetic current between the two of us. And it actually, they don't know that's what's happening, but it does. And brings them down to a place as well. And you're not doing it for them, you're doing it for you. But we all benefit from that. So that's the first principle, is the mirror principle. That whoever you're looking at God, individualized. And so think about them that way. Instead of a problem, this is love, looking back at love, always. And so the number 2, the inconvenience of oneness. So When someone irritates you or offends you, and I don't know, how many of you have been irritated by someone? You know, it doesn't happen often. but it can happen. It can happen. And so when they irritate you or offend you, you're change your inner conversation. You're not saying anything out loud, but you're trying to change your inner conversation to saying this. Like I just said, this is God showing up. What is the question you could always ask myself? What's mine to do here in this moment? If I know that I'm speaking to God, what is mine to do here? What is mine to do? Well, the first thing you want to do, and this has always been, regardless of whether you're in a spiritual place or not, this has always been the thing. Breathe and count to 10. Before you speak, just breathe and count. You don't have to count to 10. Just breathe and give yourself a chance to count before you speak or do anything. So I was a peace officer when I was living in California, and I worked with a lot of juvenile delinquents, and they were teenage boys. I work with teenage boys, and so they could be irritating whether they're juvenile delinquents or not. But these were teenage boys and juvenile delinquents. And so I was lining them up. I was at a school with them, and they were I was bringing them back from class and taking them back to where they lived, to their rooms. So we were lining up, and they know they're supposed to line up. They know they're supposed to line up and get in line and all of that. So I'm not going to keep telling these kids to line up. They know it. We do it every single day. So they're just carrying on and chit-chatting and whatnot, and I'm just standing there because I'm getting paid to be there. So, yeah, whatever. You guys are the one that need to get back to your rooms and do whatever you do back in their rooms, and we won't talk about that. But anyway, so they're just talking and carrying on, and I'm just letting them. And then finally I started hearing them go, what's going on here? And they're looking around. And the other groups, by the way, there are other groups of kids. They had already lined up, and they were starting to walk away. And we're still standing here. And so I could hear my group going, what is going on? What are we doing? And I said, yeah, what is we doing? What is we doing? Just at that moment, when they recognized that they weren't lined up and they started to line up, the security person came across the tower, the radio, and said to me, Stanley, get your group together. Really? Breathe, Pjae. Don't get back on the radio and say what you want to say. Don't do that. Yes, I have it under control. Thank you. All right, put it away. The kids got in order. I took them back to where they were going to go. Then when I got back to the office, I picked up the phone. Before I picked up the phone, I breathed, breathing. And I called him and I said, hey, I'm down here with the kids and I know what's going on. So I don't really need you to get on the radio and put it on blast that the kids are acting up. I don't need you to do that, so please don't do that again. And he said, I'm sorry, I left out an important part. When he came across the radio, I looked at the radio and I just started laughing. And the reason why I started laughing was so that I wouldn't get on the radio and cuss him out. The only way that I could do that was just to laugh and go, all right, he's an idiot, it's okay. Don't do it, don't do it. So when I got on the phone with him and I was telling him, hey, don't do that, and he said, well, you knew you were wrong. That's why you were laughing. And I said, really? It wasn't. It's not why I was laughing. I was laughing to save you, just to save you, because I didn't want to say what you said to me over the radio. I was trying to give you the respect that I'm asking you to do for me. So this is what I'm talking about. This is what we get to do. We get to decide. This was a good person. He was trying to get me moving. He just saw that there was something going on. He thought there might be a problem. So I didn't need to get ugly with him, which is my first response, because it's embarrassing, right? Someone's getting on the radio and saying to everyone else that I'm not doing my job. And so the first thing, what? I've been doing, whatever. But here's what I know. Here's what I knew about him. He was a good person. And when something happened in my family, he called me up to his office. Instead of just getting in front, he called me up to his office and he said, hey, I want to share with you something. And it was really wonderful and sweet and private that he shared with me. So I've known that he was a good person. That one incident doesn't change who he was. And I had to remember that we are one. I know who he is. And so oneness sounds good in the sanctuary. But when you're in the middle of it, and you need to remember what you already know, and then act accordingly, that's where the work comes in. You get that? That's where the work comes in. When people are not, well, you know what? No, people are being people. People are being people. And what we want to do is recognize that they are individualized expressions, as am I, and need to be treated as such. So if you knew that, what would your response be? If you remembered that, what would your response be? So that's the inconvenience of oneness. Having to remember always, no matter what's going on, you are talking to an individualized expression. And no matter what they're saying, you know that and behave accordingly. So that's principle number 2. Principle number 3 is sacred seeing as a spiritual discipline. Sacred seeing. So we have to train ourselves to do that. And one of the things that we do is that we begin this practice of seeing and praying every single day so that we can see. We can see what we want to do. We can see that this is how I want to behave, and so we basically set the stage for ourselves every morning. When we get up, we have the prayer, we're praying, we connect, consciously connect, so that when we go out, it's easier, because we've already been there already this morning. We've already been there. So looking for the good at Costco is my story. I see you guys have been to Costco. So I went to Costco. I try to go early. I have the business thing, and I can go in at 9 o'clock. And so I go to get gas and then go shopping while I'm there. So I pull in, and at 9 o'clock in the morning, there's not a lot of people there. So it's like most of the gas pumps are either have 1 or 2 people there, but somebody's about to pull out. It's not, it's not like you got the whole long line that you do if you go in the middle of the day. So I pull in, and okay, all the way over. And by the way, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but most gas tanks are not on this side of you, where you fill it out. They're on this side, and there's not that many. So it's not that many places where I can actually get in where the thing is on my side. And most people will pull it over and make it go to where they're supposed to be, but it's supposed to be on this side. Anyway, so there's one that's right there for me on my side, and it's right there. So I pull in, and I'm heading over, and this person in the truck just and pulls right in. So you know what happened, right? I mean, in my mind, I didn't say anything. I didn't yell out the window. I didn't blow the horn. But, well, that was interesting. Help me, Lord, help me. So I pulled around him, and a person was pulling out. Great. So I back in and was able to get my gas. The point is this, 2 things. One, what was going through my mind, not what I said, what was going through my mind, that I thought it was rude behavior, that he would cut in front of me. But when I got to the other side, I was thinking, well, what made you think he was cutting in front of you? These are my words. He might not have even seen me. What he was focusing on, possibly, and you can tell yourself whatever story you want. What he was possibly focusing on was, he saw somebody move. It's right there for him. And so he just went into it, not necessarily cutting me off. This is my story. But here's one of the things that I think is really wonderful that the Spirit was showing me. So when I backed in, and I was just pumping my gas, and I was reading I had a little book on tape, and I was reading my book. I went to put the gas away, and the lady behind me was waiting on me, because not only did I pull back in, but I pulled in over where she couldn't get around me. So she just sat there. She didn't blow the horn. She didn't do anything. She just sat there waiting for me patiently. She didn't say anything. Just sitting there waiting for me patiently. And I go, oh, my God, sorry, my bad. My point is this. If we have to be consciously aware that this is who we want to be, that we want to be and see God in every single thing. And because we are human, sometimes the human part comes up, and we just remind ourselves. So as I was getting upset about him cutting me off, I talked myself out of it. And I love that. It's God giving me grace, because I cut her off right behind. The next thing that happened was I cut somebody else off. So that's what we're going to do, yeah? We're going to be human beings. Whatever we're upset about, we've probably already done to someone else. We may have known it or we may not know it. So giving other people grace is also giving yourself grace. That's what happens. That's the reason why it's not just necessarily about you, but that is the reason we are all connected. If you are an individualized expression, as am I, everyone is. And so how we want to behave is if we know that to be true, that we all are God. And so we want to treat each other as such. That's all I'm talking about. That's all I'm saying. So there is only one life. Remember that. And that life is expressing as all life. Everyone we meet, I don't care how they're showing up, because we don't know what's going on for them in that moment. What we do know is that we're looking at God through God's eyes. We're always doing that. And that is the challenge, to remember that. That is the challenge. So if we know that, when you look at someone and you know that you are looking at God, that is the foundational new thought premise. That is foundational. We are not searching for the divine. We're not searching for the divine. We are expressing the divine, each and every one of us, all the time. And that's what we look for, the truth of that. Everyone we encounter, and it gets difficult from a human perspective to look at someone doing something you would not do, you don't think is right, but still know that they are the divine. That's the challenge. And that's one of the things that we work on, because it is true. And maybe the divine isn't showing up the way you'd like it to show up in that person at this point. Doesn't mean they're not the divine. All of us are on a particular path. We're on a particular place in our journey, and we don't get to judge that, because we have been on a journey as well. And forgiveness and love always has to be there. And it's up to us, if this is what we know, to be the first to love. To be the first to love yourself, and to be the first to love everyone else around you, always. Always doing that. So that's what we want to know. That's what we do. So the 3 principles, let me just repeat that. The mirror principles, and when you look at another, you are looking at an individualized expression of God. Always. That's principle number 1, first and foremost. The inconvenience of oneness. Oneness sounds beautiful in the sanctuary, but it gets tested in traffic. That's where the test comes. We've all been there. We know that it does. And sacred seeing, so we train the eye of the soul, to see the light in everyone. Everyone has a beautiful light. It's easy to see that in this room. But when we go out of this room, that's what we're talking about. When we go out of this room, we're in a situation, we still know that that is true. And that's what we're training our eyes to see. I want to leave you with this thought. The boundary between ourselves and other people, and between ourselves and nature, is illusion. Oneness is the reality. My last thoughts. The only true spiritual work is remembering in every single moment who we are. God expressed. And so it is.